first off, very, very excited about our team's performance today. Coaching staff, players, all three phases. We set out a long time ago on this journey from the off-season program into training camp, all the way through this last couple weeks of preparation with a mindset on today. And everything we did has been focused on not only today, but 16 more weeks and opportunities moving forward. And as a first-time head coach, to get to talk to the team last night and really try to give them as much clarity of what we were looking for today, and then watch them take that plan and bring it to fruition. I don't know if I've had a more gratifying moment just because of the looks on their faces, just because of the looks on our players and coaches' faces. And there's a lot of things I can for sure be better at than I was today, but first time out. I do know one thing. I love this team, and I love this coaching staff and the guys I get to do this with every day. But with that, I'll open.
Woo! Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. Shout out Kyle West for that intro.
Heyo, we're trying.
I leave for 2 days and everything changes.
We're trying new stuff because it's new beginnings for the Minnesota Vikings.
I don't know how you don't get fired up after a day like yesterday, and then as we were making fun of Russell Wilson before this got started, because I said I don't think he's authentic at all. It's nice to hear authenticity because I believe Kevin O'Connell, and I like.
Oh, definitely.
I like that. It's feel good, man. It cheers you up and gets you fired up for the season. But when you beat the Packers and holding the one score, that'll get you fired up any day. But as always,
there's always some fun in seeing Aaron Rodgers get a little flustered on the sideline.
I love it. I love pouty Aaron Rodgers on the sideline.
Did you see him try to block Za'Darius?
Yeah.
Yes, awesome. I did. They had a little friendly exchange after that one, too. So that
Za'Darius said he was going to be extra fired up, and boy, he was. Even Chandon Sullivan was.
Mm-hmm.
He had a nice day.
Those former Packers were in there.
Before we go, get rolling here. This is episode number 492, discount double check down, because I wanted to take a shot at Aaron Rodgers. I just, I'm not going to take anything from the guy. First ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. And we've had the pleasure of watching him for so many years. But, they don't look the same.
Watching a great football player is good. I mean, I'd prefer if he was a great football player on the Vikings, but he's a very, very excellent football player. And, the Packers have had that fortune of having these amazing quarterbacks through most of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing they've nailed down pretty good. And, I like the model they have there. We're going to build through the draft. And
it's kind of strange how a couple plays go a different way, and that game just could have gone off the rails really easily. Christian Watson, their rookie, had that wide open touchdown that he dropped, and he just returned to practice for Green Bay earlier that week. So, I mean, he's got potential. Him and Rodgers seem to have an early connection, even if it's not burned in yet.
Yeah, let's go ahead and clear that right now. The Packers didn't have Allen Lazard. Let's make it clear.
Either starting offensive tackle.
He's not Devontae Adams. Neither of the left nor the right tackle starter.
Didn't have Allen Lazard, who was actually their number one.
So it was really weird. Did the Vikings get a little bit of luck yesterday? Sure.
But you know what? We're going to take it because
you can only play the team that's put in front of you.
Exactly. Exactly. The direction I was heading with that is we don't control injuries. They're going to happen. So you just have to play the game. And for the most part, it was fairly Vikings all game. It was just them on fire. They started out early, first drive, touchdown. Of course, Justin Jefferson has a monster day, a historic day. But yeah, 23-7, the final score. Adam mentioned something that I thought was really funny. That wide open pass, it sucks when that happens because it definitely would have went for a touchdown. Patrick Peterson was kind of slipping around and got caught, but that would have swung the momentum. But
yeah,
the atmosphere in US Bank definitely swung our favor. It was crazy too with the goal line stand as well.
I know Vikings fans did not like the Minnesota trading their pick to Green Bay to get him. So if he would have made that big play, I mean, the narrative would have been a little different.
But like we've talked about previous, Adam, when you get all the way down to game day, do you really care what happened in the draft in terms of picks and trades and
Oh
all that
yes,
other stuff?
especially if you're scrolling on the Twitter machine, you'll see
Yeah,
lots of folks that
you gotta
remember.
stay off that Twitter.
Yeah, it was a fun day. The Vikings pretty much throttled this team from start to finish. Now they did get a touchdown, but they had to do a much more conservative style. The Packers did because they don't have a clear burner number one like they had in Devontae Adams. His presence was missed. I'm sure those tackles that we mentioned being out, it'll be a different story and it'll be on the road next time. But we're going to savor this at least for tonight, and then worry about a week from today. But
yeah, worry about Philly on what is it, Tuesday?
Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Monday night game in Philly. That's going to be tough. They had a shootout with the Lions yesterday and came out on top. So they've done well this season in the draft and then free agency. But
Lions got big, or the Eagles got big boys in the trenches.
They do. It concerns me going forward for the one place that I'd like to start with for game balls and donkeys. Can we hand those out?
Let's
Finally
do
back.
it. Let's do it. Let's go for it. I like it.
I'm going to give mine to Kevin O'Connell. I just love that he was fired up. I thought the game plan was great. I like seeing this offense have the formations like the Rams did. There was a lot of moving around, especially for JJ. But I just like that it seems like out of a one-game sample that this team, the potential was shown. I don't know what else he's going to show us. I'm sure we'll be impressed.
Since
again.
Justin Jefferson, I think, has a game ball coming, I'll give mine to Kirk Cousins because he felt comfortable in a pocket that wasn't always fully there for him. But we didn't see, like in other games where players, like the Rams game, did you see Cam Akers decide not to block? He just made a business decision. It's like, I'm not blocking that guy. And I did not see any of that kind of effort out of the Vikings. I didn't see any lack of effort from the Vikings offensive line. Even if, Ed Ingram did get beat on a hesitant swim move. He's a rookie. He's going to get beat.
Ed Ingram had a couple welcome to the NFL rookie moments out there. He did, but you can see the potential in him, and I think he will continue to grow and learn.
Kirk was accurate and comfortable, and to go past that, did you see that in the celebratory locker room talks, Kirk went out center stage, and he acted like a leader without saying that he's a leader, and I think that's how a leader does it.
Can I comment on that? Because one guy that we love to hate on this show is Phil Mackey because he's such a fucking douchebag for Score North. He found a way to make that into something negative today. I mute him on Twitter because he is such
what
a
did
cancer.
He say about that? What did he say about that?
Go find it, man. I saw it in someone else's thread, and I was like, how can you take that and try to spin it as a negative? And he always does that thing where he's like, I didn't say it that way. I didn't do that. No, dude, you're just a passive-aggressive douche, and somebody should tell you that.
I get on my
I agree with you, Adam. He was awesome to do that, and you can tell instantly. And I'm not even going to bring up the old regime. Going forward, they're going to have a good connection, and I love that he feels appreciated now. But you're right. Yeah. You called Kirk a leader. He is a leader. He just has to do it his way, and now he's doing it his way. And I preach. He gave the game ball to the freaking GM and the coach or the owners. I mean, how cool is that?
Right.
I love it.
I'm giving my game ball to Eric Kendricks, who I think continues to be an excellent player for the Vikings. He gets this one in particular because he had that excellent breakup on fourth down. It was in the end zone where he got that up there, and that essentially wins the game for the Vikings. I know that they were pretty much already, they were up in the score at that point, but that stops any momentum from Green Bay. Those are the kinds of plays that this team had been lacking for the past couple years. Just kind of that killer instinct to go out and to finish a game. There were a couple times in this game where I thought that both on offense and defense, the team really came together and they were able to put points on the board and finish drives and put points on the board where they were able to go out there and win this football game. And that is the big difference that we're seeing so far with Kevin O'Connell and this staff compared to what we've seen with the end of what Zimmer was doing.
The veterans on defense really stepped it up. Harrison Smith himself had a real nice game as well.
He was so close to getting mine. That hit at the end of it was on the left side when the Packers were going to score. I believe it was A.J. Dillon put Jordan Hicks on some skates. I thought he was going to get ejected for that hit, but it was a clean hit. Got an interception. I mean, he's still as good.
I believe Hicks led the team in tackles as well.
Nice.
So it's not like all these players the Vikings brought in weren't doing much, because we all saw Zadarius lining up, and they even said it on the broadcast a few times with Zadarius and Hunter when they line up on the same side. They're like, they've got to adjust protection here, and when the Packers didn't, it was just mayhem.
Yeah, that was one of the points I want to bring up later on in the podcast, was I think how well the Vikings did with either motions on offense, on getting Justin Jefferson lined up against a linebacker at times for Green Bay, just finding ways to get him open and in mismatches. And then on defense, disguising pressure and doing unique formations and looks where they were able to get immediate pressure to Aaron Rodgers. Folks, this is exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not like Aaron Rodgers is new to seeing a lot of different kind of defensive fronts. Sure. When you can frustrate him, he's probably seen almost everything by now.
Yeah.
And honestly, the way that they run this 3-4, it's such a hybrid of dropping players and putting players in the box, that these looks have to look so strange when the plays actually goes on and these players go where they're actually going to end up.
It was a lot of fun as a Vikings fan to watch the 3-4 defense, to watch something completely new out there. I don't know how you guys were watching it, but for me, I was picking a specific player and then watching how they were moving around like per play. So like, I'm going to see what they're doing with Danielle Hunter on this one, or I'm going to watch Zadarius Smith on this one. And it was fun to see where they were lining up, because almost every play they're lining up.
Did you see we were pretty much right about what they were going to do with CJ Ham?
Yes. Yep.
He was out front, closer to the offensive line than being a fullback. He was playing that tight end hybrid role.
Yes. Also, it was wild seeing Dalvin Cook not only lining up as a running back, but they flat out motioned him out as a wide receiver at times too. That was fun.
Right before halftime, there was that throw to Smith Jr. Irv, and the announcers were like, well, that's not going to get anything. And I'm sitting at home thinking, boy, that could do wonders for that kid's confidence.
Yeah, it definitely could. There were some fun formations on offense without them being stupid gadget plays. Like, I'm kind of over it, you know what I mean? Like, the whole, I don't know, the jet sweep end arounds, and every once in a while that'll work. But
all they're really doing is they've got their plays that are designed to get Justin Jefferson open. Then they have the shake plays, which are fun because, Justin Jefferson has that acceleration off the cuts that are nice and crisp, and he can use that to get open. As I watch Cooper Kupp, I don't see as much of that. Most of him getting open on those plays are all designed.
I also like, too, there was some turmoil on the internet, Twitter specifically, but between the players and the coach in Green Bay, because Jair Alexander is a baller. We know that. We know that he is their number one corner. And he was asked, are you frustrated because you weren't specifically shadowing Jefferson all day? He goes, that's exactly what I want to do. He's like, I want to go up against the best. That wasn't in the game plan. If you watch, they play zone defense, and that wasn't up to him. And especially when you motion Jefferson around and he's in these weird places, you're looking for mismatches. It's football 101. But then Matt LaFleur says, I thought the players could have gave a little more effort. And it's like, I love so much that there's turmoil week 1 in Green Bay. I love it so much because for as much crap as the fans talk and as how passive aggressive Rodgers could be, it's nice for them to eat crow a little bit because we knew this team was this talented. Just had to see it come to fruition. So, I loved it. Before we get going, though, we did game balls. Do we have donkeys, boys?
We do. I have one anyway. Garrett Bradbury is still not good. He's not going to be good this year. There were a couple plays where he got pushed around, shoved around. I still think this is it for him in Minnesota. I don't necessarily know what the Vikings' plans were like in the draft process. I'm just speculating right now, but I imagine they didn't have a center that they felt comfortable drafting in the first last year. So, hey, we're going to keep Bradbury around for another season, give him another shot, see what happens. this is a position that they will definitely, I think, be looking to improve unless he's able to like drastically turn it around. But
Wes is right. They used Madison in the right roles. When they needed yards, straightforward, plowing yards, they put Madison in, and that's what you do with Madison. That's what he's there to do. To get those straightforward, plowing yards.
I want to talk about that in a little bit because there was a really nice shift in the team's philosophy between being a run-first team and a pass-first team, and kind of what I think they're doing now and how they're using their running backs. Cook in particular, Cook and Madison is really smart, I believe, on how they're using them. So that's a fun topic that we can loop back to here in a little bit.
Yeah, Bradbury. It was rough for the center and the right guard. I don't think Ingram had a terrible day, but did see some pressure. But the positive that's different from any year as a Kirk Viking fan going forward is his pocket presence was awesome this game. Stepping up, throwing off platform. I mean, Justin Jefferson's pretty wide open. You should probably hit him, but he still has to make the throw. It wasn't like there wasn't pressure. I'm looking here. The Packers defense got a sack, and they had 8 quarterback hits. So they were there. The pressure was there, but I like Kirk being able to step up there. But yeah, it's Bradbury for me. I don't see how they're not going to look for a center in the first or second round next year. I don't know how you could go unless they can pick up a free agent, but you guys are talking about pineapple on pizza in the chat. That is funny. I love this sidebar you guys are having. Charlotte, let the man live. If he wants to wear his Coles church shirt in his press conference, having a game like that, you let him do that.
Who's your donkey this week, Adam?
I didn't see enough negative I don't know if I can fairly give a donkey because
there wasn't really a standout player, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be easy to just keep piling on Bradbury when we all know that he's not the answer there.
We know Bradbury's not good, and so I'm gonna make a promise for the rest of the season that we do the podcast here. I'm gonna try not to default to just to give it to Bradbury because we know we don't have to.
I like that they gave him a fair shot too. The hey, we're not gonna extend you, we're not gonna do the extension, but we're gonna let you try to prove us wrong. I felt like that was the right move, but I don't know going forward that he's going to be it after this season, but whatever. We'll monitor it. Darisaw looked good. Obviously, Brian O'Neill looked good. Dalvin Cook looked great. He had 90 yards rushing, and he had 18 yards receiving. So I like that he got going pretty quick because it was nice because you had questions wondering in the previous 2 years, and I know the COVID years and then with the turmoil of the last regime, starting slow was kind of a trademark for the team. So I felt like they were always playing a little bit behind. But
I was really worried the team would come out a little rusty since there was no preseason, play at all really or anything like that. But we can assume that now any starter probably is not going to see action in the preseason under O'Connell.
Which is a very new school philosophy. He kind of talked about that. He had a little press conference today. That's one of the things he brought over from the Rams. It's just kind of trusting your veterans and kind of resting them and not pushing them in.
It is weird seeing Minnesota in the red zone going 4 wide.
Yeah.
It's weird. You know what? There's an adjustment process as a fan watching this team be aggressive. I won't lie. There was a point early on in the fourth quarter where the Vikings had the lead, and you just got used to we're going to run the ball and we're going to play defense. And seeing them continue to be aggressive and move the ball down the field, I momentarily got worried, are we behind? Are we losing? Oh, no. We have the lead, and we're doing fine, and we're playing aggressive football.
Haven't heard much about Pat P. Yeah, we didn't hear much about him yesterday.
I think
and that's okay.
I think he's regressing a little bit. He kind of got blown up.
He's older.
Blown
a little more banged up.
Plays. I don't know how many more seasons you're going to get out of Patrick Peterson. I'm glad to have him on the team.
We did get some good special teams action, though. I mean, Kenny had some nice returns, and then you got Jalen Reagor on punt returns, who actually moved the ball a little bit as well. Nice to see him getting a little bit of his
The
trade's
punter
worth.
looks good. I like the thick boy punter we have. I like him a lot. And we got to talk about Greg Joseph, man. 56-yarder.
Oh, boy.
And kicking was not something that was automatic in week 1, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
around the
rest
NFL.
of the NFL they were going through a drought.
The Bengals should have won their game several times if their long snapper wasn't their backup tight end, trying to do something.
You know what? Hey, you had your historic Wonder Boy season, and Joe yards after the catch Burrow. That's right. I'm calling him out. Yeah, you're gonna have a Super Bowl hangover. I can't help you there. I'm just attacking everyone because the Vikings won yesterday. I don't care. No, it was good. I was very happy. I screamed in the truck because I was at work while I was like driving around doing training, whatever, and I had it going, and I was like, "Do we have a kicker? Is this a thing?"
I think we have a kicker.
All right, I'll take it.
I think we have ourselves a kicker, man. I like it.
Yeah, that competition for kicker ended early this offseason.
It's just nice because I've seen him last season twice, and like in the warm-ups, I've talked about this several times, but I was like, he's not making these. I'm not confident. And then in the game, he's just like ice cold. So cool. I like it. I'm not going to run through all the stats. I just want to highlight it. Kirk Cousins had a day, 23 of 32, 269 yards passing. I think there was a negative play somewhere there because it says 277, but total 269. But
Just subtract the sack yardage.
Oh, okay. 1 for 8. There it is. Sorry about that. QBR 80.7. Aaron Rodgers 16.1. Jesus. Overall rating of 118.9. Rodgers overall rating 67.7. God, I love that. Yeah, Kirk had
I believe Kirk had the second best quarterback rating
outside
or Pro Football Focus grade at quarterback in week 1.
There was a point in that game where Aaron Rodgers only had like 6 yards passing. That's
They kept putting up
insane.
stats of, Packers offense versus Justin Jefferson or Packers offense versus Devontae Adams.
That's rough. It's very rough. That was to be expected with who they had and who they didn't have available. But to be going forward, man, you got to be calling OBJ around Thanksgiving and be like, hey, are you healed yet? We'll pay you because we need a receiver. I don't even know if he'd want to go play there, but
I didn't see Sammy Watkins out there.
I saw him. He didn't have a big game. Yeah, he had 3 catches on 3 targets for 18 yards. So, I mean, he didn't do much. Randall Cobb, 2 for 14. So, A.J. Dillon was the leading Packers receiver. They
were finding a lot of success in those dump offs to the running backs or cuts by or drags by the tight ends. That seemed to be the only thing they could really get working underneath. Because like the announcers kept saying throughout the game, there's an umbrella. The number of times they said umbrella. If that was a drinking game, I tell you.
Andrew says what we're all thinking too. I'm worried about the Philly game. Yeah, I texted one of my buddies back in Nashville. He's a huge Eagles fan. And I was like, well, we're going to meet on Monday. I don't like the feeling. It's either going to be a nail biter or another 38-7 dud. That's no in between, We'll see. It's a good matchup it's a good test for the Vikings. I was worried. I was like, are the Eagles sneakily bad and they just like had to compete with the Lions, or are the Lions better? That was a shootout. It was like, what, 38-35?
Lions are sneaky improving a little bit.
The one that I'm wondering about if they're actually better than I thought they would be is the Bears.
There's no way. Not a chance. That they played in a kiddie pool yesterday. That's I'm only giving. Yeah, and they had Trey Lance starting for San Francisco. I thought he was gonna have a rough start to the season, but it can't be any worse than that. I'm not gonna lie though, for as much junk as I would talk about.
There was a penalty in that Bears game for using a towel on the turf.
I was just gonna say I've never seen a penalty for using a towel to dry off the turf before. That's a new one.
I wasn't even gonna bring that up. That's hilarious. I'm not gonna lie though, as much junk as we like to give Bears fans about Justin Fields and like they're not helping him, that shot of him flexing in the pouring rain was pretty cool. Yeah, I was glad to see him have fun. We did not expect them to beat the Niners yesterday, but they were playing in a pool yesterday, so that was odd.
The Steelers-Bengals game was wild.
Yeah. I watched the Panther game because it was on, I'm working in Charlotte. I literally
Texans-Colts was just silly.
Yeah.
Davis Mills might be a real quarterback, guys.
I hope so. I have what's his name as my receiver, Brandon Cooks. I hope he is. He's my fantasy there, so I'm hoping he has a year. Yeah, get back to these. Dalvin Cook had 90 yards, no touchdown, but still looked good. Had some good bursts. Obviously, Justin Jefferson had a historic day. 9 receptions on 11 targets, 2 touchdowns, 184 yards.
Adam Thielen played that game too.
Justin Jefferson was out there making catches at times that he had no reason catching. He is at so you remember, well, Vikings fans, we remember the Randy ratio where you kind of laughed at it a little bit, but like that was the Randy ratio where you had to throw the ball so much to Randy Moss. There's a Justin Jefferson ratio, and I don't care what any other player on the offense thinks. Like the offense runs through JJ at this point.
If Jefferson had Thielen's toe tap swag, he'd had another touchdown. But I think he ended up getting the touchdown on that drive anyway.
Yeah, that was a beautiful catch. Just couldn't get that other foot. That was beautiful, the one you're talking about, Adam. Outside of
that's when he went up and got that I thought he had no reason to go get.
Yeah, I know. Jefferson is going to have himself a historic season for the Vikings. This is a point that I wanted to talk about, and I'm curious to know what you guys' opinion are on it too, because I think you can see already the clear shift in philosophy with this team, where we had previously been a run-first team. Like, we're going to use Dalvin Cook, we're going to run to set up the pass, and that was how Mike Zimmer wanted to run the team. This is a pass-first team. We are featuring Justin Jefferson, and Dalvin Cook is a role player. And you know what? I think
it's hilarious though, because O'Connell comes over here and he goes from Cooper Kupp to Justin Jefferson, which is pretty sweet. But he also goes from Cam Akers to Dalvin Cook, which is a bit of a difference there. Right.
Here's the thing though, is that this is going to be good for Dalvin Cook and Madison as well too, because I think so the knock we've always had on Cook is that he can't stay healthy. We're reducing his workload a little bit, and they're doing a better job splitting it between him and Madison. So we're going to have a healthier Dalvin Cook for a longer part of the season. This is going to be fun.
Well, I'm excited too for whenever we face a team where they do their homework. They're like, oh, their run defense is trash. And they start putting in Ty Chandler and Kene for some certain situations.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that game. I will be overly excited to get to see them contribute because they're speedy. They're just speedy backs. So looking at the stat sheet, though, 9 receptions for Jefferson. 4 people underneath had only 3 receptions. Thielen, Cook. Johnny Munt was out there a lot.
Yeah, Johnny Munt was getting involved.
Yeah, 3 for 3 for 17. So good to see him filling in a role. KJ Osborne had 14 very hard-earned yards. Good Lord, their linebacker met him a couple times for those. But getting down to the defense here, Green Bay fumbled once, and Dalvin Tomlinson recovered. Man, he had a good day too. The defense was pretty good all over. That line is nasty.
Was that the one that Aaron Rodgers kind of held out a little bit and they just grabbed from him?
Yeah, I think so. If I remember that one, I still have it replayed in my head. I thought we killed him yesterday. I was like, oh my God.
There was that one play where the pocket completely collapsed around Aaron Rodgers. Where I thought maybe that they might have pulled him after that one because that looked like a concussion play potentially for him.
That was the same one I'm thinking about too. It was one of their guards actually left. So they were down 2 starting tackles and a guard at one point because one of them had to leave for concussion protocol. But hopefully they're all right. We're not going to be that terrible, fan base and wish injuries, but they had to overcome a lot yesterday. They had to figure it out. But this defense, man, Jordan Hicks led the way with tackles, 14 total. He had a sack. Danielle Hunter, Zadarius Smith, and DJ Wanham again having another sack. That was a beautiful sack from him. 4 on the day, 5 total quarterback hits.
He's just so athletic.
And a good stat, too, that I'm reading out loud. Now that I remember it, I didn't know there was that many, but 3 passes defended. Harrison Smith, Eric Kendricks, and Danielle Hunter. So it was good.
That's right. Danielle Hunter did the old jump up and back the pass down thing that he's so good at. He's so athletic for a player his size. It's unbelievable. Every he's been with us for I don't know how long, but every time you see him do that, you're like, man,
it's impressive every time.
A player that size should not move like that. but he sure does.
Yeah, congratulations. We put this post. Kyle put it up. I'm not going to take the credit. Adam Thielen has gotten to 6,000 career yards. So I'm not sure where that puts him in all-time Viking history, but I'll check that up.
Pretty good for an undrafted player, eh?
Oh my God, was Adam Thielen drafted?
Yeah, didn't you know that?
That's crazy. They should do a story about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you know that he even paid to go to his own combine?
He can definitely be top 5 this year. So he has 6,002. He surpassed Ahmad Rashad yesterday to go to 7th all time. 6,307. So in about 4 games, he should pass Steve Jordan, which is unreal. Sammy White is the bar this year. 6,400 even. So if Adam Thielen can have a 1,000-yard season from here, he will be 5th all-time in Vikings history and pass Sammy White. So that's wild.
I don't see Thielen getting that many yards this year, but I think he'll get some looks, and those touchdown numbers should come up, especially in the red zone.
I don't remember the exact percentage, but I've seen it posted somewhere where, like, the Vikings ran a 3-receiver set, I think, like, 74% of the time against the Packers, when last season they were only in 3-receiver sets, like 40% a game. So
yeah, they put that graphic up during the game. I remember seeing that one now.
Yeah. So there's a big uptick in what we're going to see from, like, the receivers out on the field for this team. So even though Jefferson's going to be your focal point and he's obviously going to get a lot of the catches out there, there's going to be plenty of opportunities, I still think, for the other receivers, just based on the personnel that they're playing, for them to continue to get touches and opportunities out there.
Especially when opponents start game planning specifically for Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, one of the players said it in their press conference today. Okay, so as the season goes on, the cat is going to be out of the bag a little bit for what the Vikings are doing on offense, and that will allow other defenses to catch up and see what we're doing and kind of catch up with some of the motions they're doing. Jefferson's not always going to be as wide open as what he was a couple times out there. So that's where, you're going to see some of your other guys are going to get more of a look, more of an opportunity. That's where your Thielen and your Osborns and whatnot are going to factor in.
You guys want to hear a wild stat?
Yeah.
So I'm on Pro Football Reference right now looking at Vikings receiving all-time history. So Justin Jefferson has 19 right now. If he can get 10 more this season, which I think is very possible.
10 more yards?
Touchdowns. Sorry about that. If he can get 10 more touchdowns this year, which is very possible with, 16 games left, he will be 10th all-time in Vikings history.
Holy shit.
He will pass the great Steve Jordan, Percy Harvin, Chuck Foreman, Visante Shenko, John Gillum. Holy crap, dude. He'll be right below Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs has 30. Justin Jefferson is at 19 right now. And he just started season 3. This kid is unreal.
Oh.
I'm not going to worry about yards. He'll get the yards in due time. But, yeah, if he gets 10 more touchdowns on the year, he'll get to number 10 all time.
Dude, remember when we drafted him and Mike Zimmer was like, yeah, but we probably need to start BC Johnson for the first couple games of this season? What the fuck, dude?
Well, he's already 15th all time in the receiving yards. He's got 3,200. So, I mean, it's crazy, man. He's wild.
Yeah, the only team statistically with a better passing attack than the Vikings, I believe, in week 1 was Buffalo, with Diggs just absolutely ruining Jalen Ramsey's night.
Yeah, he looked awful. He looked really bad.
We talked about Kirk a little bit, but I think it's worth mentioning again. I think just he really felt like a different kind of leader, like you said, Adam, in the locker room speech and his play on the field. He was making some better decisions with the football and moving in the pocket and whatnot. And I'm liking what I'm seeing from Kirk.
I think he feels comfortable, man. I know it's cliche and this has been beaten into the ground, by other Viking podcasts, but if you feel appreciated, and I like that when he was on Pat McAfee's show, he said, I texted them immediately when they were hired. I was like, hey, look, it's me. P.S. This is what I think we should do. Like, I'm glad that they're having meetings. It helps, too, that Kevin O'Connell was a quarterback. I mean, that's always going to help you. They have history, but
yeah,
I think he just feels appreciated and heard, man. That's all you can ask, because I believe I've heard this on like Colin Cowherd and on the big shows. Like, I think Kirk is a guy that if you can support him and like kind of vocally tell him like, hey, dude, I got your back, I think he thrives there. And I like that. I think it kind of shows.
We got to see Kirk be a natural leader in that locker room speech and talk to the team, and that's him actually leading the team. We've seen him try to force it in previous situations, and that's not good. And it was really easy to spot when he was trying to force it. It's a much better situation and a much healthier situation. And I do think the relationship between O'Connell and Cousins is important. Being able to relate to one another, even though O'Connell wasn't a good quarterback in the NFL, they can still relate on having that shared experience of being a quarterback in the NFL.
Well, we're talking about leadership. Kendrick's first year being a team captain, getting that dot on his helmet. I mean, this could be big for him.
That was a big play at the end of the game for Kendricks too, on that fourth down pass breakup that he had.
When he finally leaves the Vikings, whether he goes to another team or retires,
he'll retire a Viking.
I think that he will absolutely be one of the most underrated, undervalued players that this team has seen in a long time. That dude does everything. Doesn't have any drama in the off season, and he's just such a good football player. Yeah. That's a good point, Adam. That's a very good point.
So not only are we getting the new leadership on offense and new opportunities on offense, but new players are getting new opportunities on defense as well. And it's not all, carried over. Like if Barr were still here, he would probably still be team captain over Kendricks, just based on familiarity and getting that communication helmet.
Seniority, yeah. Yeah, I get it. Going down the stat line here too, man. Special teams. Keenan had a good return. Jalen Reagor, this is the most hard-fought 7 yards I've seen in a long time. He shed a tackle violently.
He did.
He
was fired up.
He was.
I was just going to say, he was fired up, and seeing him come off the field and flexing and shit. Remember when I said he's got to turn me into a fan? Keep doing that. You're going to turn me into a fan, because that is a story that you kind of want to get behind, especially if he can redeem himself. And I'm being a little selfish, but if he does that for us, that benefits the Vikings. I love it.
When he gets more comfortable in the passing game too, he's got some speed. He's going to be a weapon on the offense too. I think that's a good pickup for this team. Finishing out the stats, Greg Joseph, 3 of 3. All of his extra points were good. Bravo. Long of 56. Shout out to Greg Joseph for setting, his own record. I think it's a Viking record, but Kevin O'Connell, so you got to have the balls to kick that, because that's a long field goal.
56?
56.
56-yard field goal. You know what feels different is that previously the Vikings would have tried a 56-yard field goal. I'm going to the other room because they're going to miss it, or something terrible is going to happen. It's going to get blocked. When they called this one, when he was coming out onto the field, I'm just like, oh, the Vikings are going to make this.
He could have hit that one from 64. He had more than enough distance.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's some Justin Tucker shit right there.
When's the
and
last time?
I'm not saying that he's that good, but...
Yeah, but when is the last time you just believed in a Vikings kicker? Like, oh, he's coming on the field, he's going to make it.
It was a long time ago, but it was Paul Edinger.
Right, I was going to say Ryan Longwell.
I was going to say Daniel Carlson. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
After he left the team.
Hey, Daniel Carlson holds a lot of Vikings records for kicking.
Man, what a whiff that was. Oh, shout out to him. I drafted you in my fantasy because I knew you were going to be good. And thick boy Ryan Wright, 5 punts, 232, average of 46.4.
He's a good punter.
I like it, dude. I like it so much.
I don't know where they found him. He was a draft pick, right?
At the 7-Eleven in Mankato, man. Remember?
Undrafted free agent.
Undrafted free agent. Well, there you go. Scouts did their job on that one.
We can't get more fired up than this. This such. I was
What
so
a great way to
nervous
start the
going
season.
into this game for this team because expectations were high. But man, they look good. They looked really good, and I hope that's a sign of things to come. It's going to be a tough task in Philly. They are a very good rushing team.
I didn't like how the Vikings slowed down in the second half.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some more foot on the gas pedal.
Yeah, Andrew said it too in here. I'm still worried about the Philly game. I am too. It's a hostile environment. Those fans are dicks, but I think that they added a lot of good pieces. AJ Brown is a great pickup for them as a receiver. I know they still have Darius Slay. They picked up a corner or safety from New Orleans, and they drafted that massive human being from Georgia on the defensive line. He is gargantuan size. That front scares me a lot, but I think this will be a close game.
Bradbury's got him.
Yeah, God. They'll have to look at that on film and address that. That's got to happen. Yeah, I'm excited.
Center 1A and Center 1B are Garrett Bradbury and CJ Ham. Do what you got to do out there. I am a little worried about the secondary depth out there. We've seen Andrew Booth got knocked out of the game early. Injury concerns were a thing coming out of him out of the draft, and we're kind of still seeing that with him. Patrick Peterson stepped back a little bit. He's getting older. So I do think there are some concerns if another player should go down in that secondary. We're getting really pretty thin with it. So I think that's an area that I'm concerned with for this team. The run defense, actually, I thought Green Bay did a pretty good job running the ball against us as well. That's something that
they got Quadzilla over there.
That right, but that's something that the Vikings are going to have to do a better job of as well.
They had two good backs as well. I don't know about the running back situation in Philly, but Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon had 49 and 45 yards respectively, so they knew what they were doing there. And there's two like sweeps here.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about Boston Scott.
I don't know who their other running back is. Wow, it's the third quarter and Seattle is leading? What? Oh, I love that.
There might be lots of strikes handed out in the Survival League.
Oh.
Yeah, where you got half the teams in there with them.
Thanks a lot, Indianapolis. You screwed me on that one. Which we should fight that too. Not that they'll ever change it, but they didn't lose. They just didn't
didn't win either though.
Yeah, we gotta get the ties out of football. It's such a
there's a good comment.
It's a Vikings fan living in Wisconsin. The border battle is really satisfying. I love that for you. Love that for you.
So what is the mood in Wisconsin? Do Green Bay fans right now, or are they worried, or are they thinking like, last year we got blown out by the Saints, and then we came back and won like 13 games? Like how worried are Packers fans on this Monday?
Packers laid that egg against the Saints last year, same kind of fashion.
They're all gonna talk shit about the Vikings and do that. They go in their typical bag of excuses. Oh, this is your guys' Super Bowl. You've never won one, but it's week one. It's like, bro, you lost. It is what it is. And if it was like last year when we beat them in Minnesota, where it was like, oh well, you guys kicked the game-winning field goal. No, dude, we just like throttled your team. Like there was no option, but I'm sure the tune will be different.
Dude, the Packers looked defeated and deflated sitting on that sideline. Yeah.
I think there was a good shot. Randall Cobb, I think it was Sammy Watkins. Seen that used as a meme a couple times, like Devontae Adams total yards versus the Packers receiving core as a whole. Mm-hmm. They were both just like, can we get out of here, please? But yeah, I don't have anything else for the Green Bay game. I'm excited about a primetime game. I want to see what this team does.
Monday night, primetime Kirk.
I hate that it's going to be in Philly, but that's just how you got to roll. Some of these games are going to be duds, and some of them are going to be very tough. So we'll see. But it looks like
okay. So now we're going to see how the team handles success. I know it was only one game, but hey, it was the first game of the season. It was against the Packers, a division rival. So hey, how are they going to prepare this week? Are they going to come out? Are they going to look flat? Are they going to have a good game plan? They're going to be on the road. We all know Philly fans are a real hostile, loud environment. How will Kevin O'Connell handle that with being able to get plays, out to Kirk? There's a lot to watch for in this game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Philly's pretty talented all around. I go
and check on that that game with the Seattle game, and of course, when I check Denver's on the 1 yard line about to score.
Yep. I'll have to see. I was giving NFL Plus some shit online too on Twitter because, God, man, they get on my nerves with that. They really need to fix it. I would say if you are thinking of getting NFL Plus, you can only watch on your device. I'm not sure that you can watch on your computer. I don't know how it works. I haven't tried it on the app on my television, but it is so frustrating.
I know you can't use it on your Xbox. That was one big turnoff for me.
When you go from portrait to landscape, if you're in landscape watching and you turn your phone this way, it will exit out of the game without your asking, and then it will go like yesterday. There were 2 games that it featured: the Chiefs Arizona and then us in Green Bay. The Vikings Packers one was the one on the right, so not the first available, but the second available option. You click on it, go to landscape. If you turn your phone, it exits out of that game and automatically goes to the Chiefs game. And I was furious. Like, they have to fix that as a $1 billion corporation.
You can use it on your computer because that's how I was watching some games last year. The user experience is absolutely terrible. And then they just inexplicably start removing older games from it. Why would you do that? I was in the middle of watching the 2009 season because, Brett Favre. Of course I want to go back and rewatch 2009. And like halfway through it, they were just like, nah, we ain't going to have these anymore. Like, what?
They got to be better about that. I made sure to at them, not that they're ever going to look at it or care, but if you get that steamroll going, I'm not going to buy that again next year. That was a terrible, terrible experience.
And you know what's ridiculous is that, dude, it's the NFL. If it was an even half good app, all 3 of us would be subscribed to it year round to watch content.
If you could just give me a service where I can have all the Vikings games, dude, I'd pay a lot of money for that.
Well, I think that eventually they're going to have to go to that. Like fans of certain teams, if they're like, hey, it's $60 for the year or for the season, just for the season, and we'll give you that team's game no matter what through this app. And it could just be through that. Like, the Vikings have an app. The Colts have an app. The Ravens have an app. Do it through the app and say, hey, this flat rate, you get to watch all the games no matter home, away, whatever. I mean, how hard is that?
The Vikings app right now is pretty bare bones if you download it on anything.
Yeah. I also know if you just happen to not even exit out of the app, if you just switch to another app and go back, it refreshes the page every time. So it doesn't say where you were at, like the depth chart that Kyle and I were trying to look at one day. It was very frustrating.
Yeah. I'm stupid. I'd pay like pay-per-view, like Mike says here in the comments. I'd pay like $60 a game if I have to watch a Vikings game.
I can't.
Well, it was $40 to watch Adrian Peterson get punched by Le'Veon Bell.
Oh,
awful. Just awful.
I don't even want to talk about it.
He was out too. He was definitely seeing stars. He's like, no, he had the Rockies. I don't even know Bell. It was so bad. I felt you hate him because he's still in very good shape. Like obviously his physique is great, but has it really come to this? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, and in front of like 20 people. That was the worst part of that thing.
Well, I didn't see any promotion for it. Like, I'm a UFC guy. Anytime they have a pay-per-view, I'll buy it, which is what I did Saturday. Nate Diaz is fighting. Of course I'm going to buy that card.
Yeah, and they went against a big UFC fight, too. Like,
yeah, that was a terrible idea. You got to put it on Friday night when there's no UFC.
But there was a social media superstar named Mick Broom.
Yeah.
It's the first.
Never heard of Mick Broom.
Never heard of her. Sorry.
But yeah, if they said they could make $5 a game for each team, $85 for the year, even $100 for the year to get every one of one team's games, I'd pay $100 a year.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because at least we know we're going to get playoff on TV.
All right, I'm on DraftKings. I don't know when they last updated it. September 11th, point spread, Eagles -2.5, so they get the home field advantage. That's not a close spread. Point total, 48.5. The money line, Eagles -145, Vikings +125. So they have the Eagles at a slight advantage, which I would agree with. But they see these teams as pretty evenly matched and pretty close. So That'll be very interesting. I want to see how this line changes as we get closer, because if you pay attention,
Well,
to
apparently Denver did not get in, and Seattle took over.
Oh, very nice. God, I hope Russell Wilson loses in Seattle. They'll burn that city to the ground tonight. That'd be wonderful.
It's crazy.
But yeah, talking about the point spread, that happened with this game with the Vikings and the Packers, because the Packers were favorites up until like the day of, and then it was an even spread, which is, I don't know how Vegas does their witchcraft about that stuff, but pretty good stuff. But
the problem is that for me is that where I get my internet from, it's a Chicago home market. So if I were to do any sort of like DirecTV, Sunday ticket kind of thing, I couldn't watch any of the Vikings Bears games because they'd be blacked out.
I just don't understand that. Like, I get that they want to make money. You're not going to tell people they can't. I get that you don't want to turn the money down if you can get it, but it's just at some point, like they have to recognize like shitting on the fan for that kind of stuff. Like, how are you not able to watch it if it's a local game? That's just insane.
I mean, look at the money that the NFL makes off events that other leagues can't even advertise properly. Like, the money that the NFL makes off the draft is stupid.
Yeah.
Off the scheduled release. They sell advertising during the scheduled release parties. That's stupid. No other league can do that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely reigns supreme. That was funny. I didn't even think about that. That's a recent thing, but that's funny. You're right, Adam. Having a party for the schedule release, like, dude, just announce it. They got to turn it. They got to put everything in for an advertisement. Everything has to be a billboard. Yeah, I think that's it, man. 52 minutes, a little earlier than usual, but Vikings get a win, 23-7.
Was I the only one that this didn't really feel like a season opener?
I just wasn't expecting it to be that dominant. I thought it would be close. Like, I predicted 34-31. I thought it'd be a little bit more high scoring. But
last year we got that heartbreak against the Bengals in week 1.
Yeah. And then the year before COVID, then we start like 0-3.
So this feels a little not right. It feels a little too easy.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that.
With the extra game on the schedule, it kind of feels like you can, like the opening week doesn't matter as much. So I know what you mean.
I'm sure Green Bay's telling themselves that.
Yeah.
See, Andrew, if I put up an antenna, I live in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which for some reason is Packer country. I get Packer games up here.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, our Fox up here is Northern Michigan's Fox, which is, Packers games only for some reason.
That's really weird. Yeah, Monday night coming up. Vikings at the Eagles. We will. He says, I can't believe I have a strike. Yeah, who are you telling, Andrew? A third of us.
I'll get one tonight if Russell Wilson can't pull his head over his butt. I looked at his stats. He's having a decent game.
I like that they're going to play tough, though. I like that because it feels like the Seahawks are actively tanking, but who knows?
Don't pick an AFC South team in survival.
God, that's funny.
I think that's what got you. It was your first strike last year, too. Wasn't it, Smith? Was it Jacksonville that got you last year?
Yeah, fucking Jacksonville, man. Yeah, they played the Commanders pretty close yesterday as well. Man. All right.
Thank you to everyone who joined us in the chat. It was real nice. We'll be back again to talk about next week's games. I slacked. The last show still isn't even up on Spotify, so I'll be uploading these two together. I'm a bit lazy. I haven't been feeling the best, so
you have an excuse, Adam. We give you the pass always, man. And it's been the two crazy kids running the show while the adults been out, so it's nice to have some adult structure back in here.
But you guys brought some some rock and some art into the show, so I love that. And you guys have been doing a good job over on the old Facebook page.
It's always more fun when the regular season gets here. Feel like you post actual content and not just filler shit.
Well, we also knew we would maintain, double digits this whole episode, which we have because the regular season's back. So, but yeah,
doing the shows during the off season, they aren't as packed of people, but I mean, we still like to go every week just to keep talking Vikings football because it's never the off season to us. We're Vikings fans for life.
Yeah, we love you guys the same, especially the ones that stick around during the the early Marches and the mid Junes. we know how dry it gets. So, but yeah,
but once again,
stuff here.
Thank you to everyone who joined us in the chat. Stay active in the Survival League. Make sure you get your picks in. If you get one wrong, you still have a couple more, and that's okay. Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate the well wishes, and I'm glad I could be here, even though my eyes are starting to bug out a little bit on me from the lights. So I'm going to take off. Thanks again, everyone. You can check out my stuff at MN Viking Zombie on every social media platform. I also write some articles over on the Viking Age once in a while, and once in a great while over on Undead Walking. Kyle West's got some art pinned to the top of the Facebook page. You can go and buy some neat. There's some Viking stuff and as well as some amazing photography that's going on there. If you want something in particular, hit him up on his socials right there. Vaguely Square. That's him. We got NC Dog Dude up there. He should be posting some of his music, maybe a clip or two here and there. He's been doing some shows down in the Carolinas. Maybe he'll perform for Baker Mayfield. You never know.
I thought I ran into Matt Rule at the airport today, but I realized they aren't going to New York until Saturday. So I'm glad I didn't go up to talk to that guy. But
so once again, thanks everyone. We'll be back next week, and stay classy, Minnesota.